In this overview, I'm going to cover how bandwidth really affects your network, especially when you're using multiple devices that are using bandwidth-intensive applications. So let's go ahead and dive in. If you go to the status menu and go to device list, you'll notice that I've got my devices listed here. And the ones that I want you to focus on are the server, the desktop, and the Roku. And the server is located at 192.168.50.2, and the desktop is at 50.5, and the Roku is at 50.146. Now, currently, the Roku is streaming a video at the moment, and it's consuming most of the bandwidth on the network. So let me show you what I mean. If we go to IP traffic, here on the IP traffic view graphs page, we have three graphs, and the first graph is connections distribution for TCP and UDP connections, and basically it shows you the number of connections and the percentage of those that are being used. The second one is for inbound bandwidth distribution and how much is being consumed by each IP address. And the third one is for outbound bandwidth distribution, which also shows you how much bandwidth is being consumed for each IP address. Now, before we get started, I want to run a quick speed test while we're not downloading anything or really doing much on our network. So I'm going to click Begin Test, and this will give you a gauge of how quickly my network is when nothing else is going on other than some light video streaming in the background right now. And currently we're getting about 57 meg download, and upload should be around 10 or 12. And there it is. So we have about 57 meg download and almost 12 meg upload. So in a moment, we're going to see how this affects our speed test on our desktop. So let's go back to the router, and notice here where the Roku is, it only has 13 connections, but it's also consuming 100% of the inbound bandwidth, or between 99 and 100% of the bandwidth, because there's really nothing else going on in my network. So what I'm going to do now is log into my server, and you'll see here that I have a number of downloads listed, and I'm just going to resume all of these downloads so that they'll begin downloading, and watch what happens to this traffic. You see there? The video streaming on the Roku device has already dropped substantially. Most of it is being saturated by the server that is doing all the downloads. So I'm sure that this video is probably shuttering, it's buffering, probably barely playing, if at all playing, and I'm actually recording that right now. So now, while we have those downloads in place, let's go back to speed test and try to run the test again and watch how slow this connection is to my desktop. You see how slow that ping is? Very, very slow. And this is my desktop trying to gain access and trying to squeeze some of the bandwidth away from that server. And it's actually being so slow, I'm going to take us back over to the router so that we can look at that. You see, I'm getting less than 10% of 1% here, or less than half of a percent on my desktop. If we go back here, it's still having a hard time connecting. So no way that I could play a game or a video from my desktop at the moment. It would have to wait for a very, very long time for all of those connections on the server to stop downloading. And of course, the video playing on the Roku device is not even doing anything at all. So that is why bandwidth is so important on your network. Not only knowing how much you have available, but also how to control it. And we'll be showing you how to do that in the next video, and then we'll follow up with the quality of service video.